Tonight, we're already demonetised.
Stalin, Lenin, Mayo, Pol Pot, Hitler.
Steve advocates post-birth abortion.
You know what? Get that kid and put cholera down their throat.
And I campaign for change.
Why don't we punish dolphins?
Why, hello, my fellow apes.
And welcome to the new office.
Pew, 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 pew. We've got one light, which we've stole from the main studio.
Yeah, so that'll change.
This sofa was bought by you.
Yep.
And that's why it's shit. So that's what's going on, okay? This is the LowFruit sofa, and we wanted to have the lowest of chairs.
What we're doing, it's really comfy though.
It is very comfy. We're just going to fall asleep.
We're starting off with, we're going to build the studio up with the ad revenue that you guys generate.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you want to tickle the balls of the algorithm like Tucker gets.
Yeah, tickle me Tucker.
Tickle me Tucker.
and then go from there. Yeah, by the way, yeah, great. Comments. Oh, you guys make us crack up. They're so good.
They're so good.
So good.
But enough about all of you bloody narcissists.
Yeah, bloody hell, all 14 of you.
Let's move on to our video for today. And seeing as it's sort of a genesis for the start of the new studio, we're going to be watching some Answers in Genesis. So
whatever we're about to watch, this is his fault. I have not seen this. I don't know what it is.
I've seen bits of it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, all right, let's go.
You know, some level of props to them. They've got some sort of decent quality control going on here, and they've got really high production values.
They've always got money. Of course they're
That's the
fine.
sad
Of
thing.
course they're fine. You're not going to see those shit green sofas with them. You're going to see like the best of the best. You know why? We need to just start telling people you're going to live forever. World revolves around you.
There is a thing that makes me laugh on this, though.
Yeah.
They're showing off their money here
Yeah.
with an intro.
Yep.
Which have basically disappeared from YouTube as of like 3 years ago.
Yes, yeah, they are far behind. Also, Jesus is like, give away your money. Give it away. Christians, they're like, look at how much we've got. It's like that Todd guy that walks around going, look at my whole studio.
Alright, so this is episode 6, so we've skipped a lot already.
What? And this isn't Genesis. You've just gone straight to book 6. Freak show. Freak show. That's like just after Leviticus, isn't it?
It must be.
For many people like myself growing up, the story of evolution removed even the idea of God from the equation of life.
Oh, it's a fucking great start. Most Christians believe in evolution. How do they start? Lovely production, a wobbly camera. I don't know why. We can do that though. Look, we're making a wobble right now.
Yeah, so obviously most people are still religious, and most of them have rolled evolution into their faith. I think there's cognitive dissonance going on in there, but they've done it.
Yeah, but
So-
and if you want to be a more literal Christian, which AIG is going to be doing, you tend to reject it because you do lose a lot of the content
I'd say it's
with
the full.
the full.
The full
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
work
the
anymore.
full just becomes it falls apart.
Like others, I once concluded that if there was a naturalistic, scientific way to account for the universe and everything in it, then God was irrelevant.
Well, that's kind of the thing with science. When you're looking at the natural world, God seemingly doesn't have any input in it, and we can sort of work things out without him.
Sorry, did I get it right? Is he saying that if there's a scientific explanation, it rules God out?
Yeah, that's what he said, but it's sort of...
But I mean, like, it's
The thing is it would rule God out in a way of the thing that's being explained. Like gravity. God is irrelevant to gravity. It functions with or without.
Yeah, but okay, so like there's some theological issues that they're going to have, absolutely. However, suppose that you build a car.
Yeah.
And we have an explanation for how you built the car, a scientific explanation. That doesn't rule you out. You're still vital to it. So if in your explanation you have not just God did it. You actually have a scientific explanation for how that unfolded and
But
what happened.
I'd be irrelevant to the explanation.
No, you might be crucial to it. You might be a necessary condition, a sufficient condition. You need the mechanic. You need the engineer.
Sure, I see what you're saying.
But they want the more literal story. They want God spoke words, which isn't an explanation at all. It's just...
Given that this video relates to evolution,
Yeah.
it's still the sort of thing of, like I say, God is kind of irrelevant to the explanation of evolution. It functions with or without him. And I think his concern is that if you do, it's kind of sort of that God of the gaps thing. If we keep closing up all these gaps, God disappears. That's what I interpret.
I appreciate it, but like, I mean, here's another one, right? Most theists, certainly AIG, they're going to believe in libertarian free will. Mm-hmm. The explanation and what's going on with libertarian free will when it comes to our choices and whether or not we determine whether or not we're earning hell or heaven is that it's our choice. God isn't involved in this.
Yeah.
He just set it up and then went from there. So why couldn't he likewise set up evolution from the beginning and let it go?
But he'd be irrelevant to the explanation of the process that's happening.
Just as you would be irrelevant to what you do with your free will.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet they're okay with free will, but not...
I know.
Don't defend
Don't
this!
expect them to be consistent, mate.
Do you think this is the sofa of defending them?
I'm not defending them!
And this atheistic mindset has led millions down a dark road. The conclusion that God is not needed was summed up well in the 2004 Australian Broadcasting Corporation series called Testing God. The episode, Killing the Creator, states,
I don't know about you, and I've never heard of the series, but the language suggests to me already that it's actually like an evangelical
Yeah, of
broadcast.
course it is. Of course it is. He just puts it out there, and he's like, "Oh yeah." According to our other production line,
That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
according to our donors.
I would not even be surprised if he funded this other broadcast. You know.
Yeah.
but why have we turned out the way we are? Once we believed we were unique, blessed with a soul and lovingly created by God in his image. Today, evolution says we're just a product of natural selection, the descendants of primitive bacteria, not the children of God.
Yeah. Then now I'm feeling vindicated in my
Oh, yeah.
expectation there.
Because they're expressing pretty much the same thing that he just said.
It's
Of course.
Oh, you all used to believe we were lovingly created by God. Now you just
Now you think you're now you think you're bacteria. You're just bacteria. That's all you are. You're moist robots, as Frank Turek says. That's all you are. It's so good. Yeah, you're just moist robots, moisting all over the place. Now, so once again, we've got this view of if you don't have his specific view of creation, yours is nothing.
Well, it's
But
not that
ca-
you're nothing, it's yours is horrible. Look at this idea
like-
of becoming from primitive bacteria.
But he also says we're not the children of God. No, Christians that believe in evolution think that you are the child of God.
Well, wouldn't all life be the child of God?
Yeah, all life is the child of God.
Even the bacteria.
We're all special. Even the bacteria. Even Frank Turek is. Whoever posted, by the way, being annoyed that we put him near fungus. Fair. It should be lower.
I know. Again, as you were saying earlier, this doesn't rule God out. Natural selection doesn't rule God out. A lot of people hold to this sort of guided process thing. Obviously, that holds a lot of problems with terms to natural suffering, but they hold that position. So, the descendants of primitive bacteria. Bacteria is in a separate. There's no point. There's no point.
This is just emotion, isn't it?
It's just, oh no, we've come from single cell to multi-cell to
I don't
more
like
complicated
that.
life. I don't like that.
I don't like that.
I'm created specially in God's image.
Yep.
It's just
That's all that is.
I don't care.
Clearly, for many people, natural selection under an evolutionary mindset has been given godlike attributes as our creator, and quite possibly as the arbiter of our ethics and morality as well.
It's not the arbiter of ethics and morality, but it is something that is giving us ethics and morality, because we're a social species.
Mm-hmm.
Social species get by having empathy for others and, working together.
And
if we were all out killing each other or stealing from each other and there was no trust in our societies and everything else, we'd actually not be a social species. You'd be like the snake.
Yeah. And it's like, from a naturalistic point of view, I'm just going to say, okay, how did our morality come about? Why do so many people disagree about morality? Why is it that slavery was okay for all this time and then all of a sudden it's not? Why is it that women were second-class citizens for all this time and now they're not? What is going on? Why are we now accepting, unless you're American, what's going on here? And I'm going to be able to say, as a social species, this is being selected for. In fact, the big changes that you see are accounted for by evolution. And the thing is, the theist is also going to be able to go, yeah, God wanted us to have a moral compass. So he used evolution to imbue us with it. Now, they have the added issue of going, yeah, I know Leviticus tells you to get the slaves from around you, and that was really convenient when setting up the United States. But he's changed his mind.
God didn't want slavery.
Yeah.
So he set some rules in place that were about the same as everywhere else in order to get us to where we are today.
Yes, you see, God is infinitely wise. He knew that he had to put us in the worst state so that when the Enlightenment happens, we'll all of a sudden start getting morals.
Thousands of generations of suffering.
Yes.
Eventually we'd get where he wanted us.
Eventually we got there, yeah. And we're here now, by the way. It's not in 100 years' time when they're all vegan. No, we're the right one right now. We've got it right.
Yeah. Despite all the slavery problems that we still have.
Yep. I mark my words, 100 years or less from now, Christian church will be going, listen, trans rights wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for us. Promise you.
Natural selection then replaces God and changes our ethics and morality also. Just think it through. Carried to its logical end, the solution to an overabundance of bacteria is to wipe them out.
Where is he getting all of this from? Like, he's just like, it's just
a solution to an overabundance of bacteria. No, the reason we wipe out bacteria when we, clean our rooms, which I hope he does,
maybe,
is because bacteria is harmful to us, and we tend to care about us more than we care about the bacteria.
God very lovingly created bacteria that will fuck us up.
But yes, but what I'm saying is, he's like, we wipe out bacteria because there's too much. It's like, no, we wipe it out to keep ourselves safe. That's.
But also, we don't wipe it out. If you wipe out all of the bacteria on your body, you're dead.
Well,
you need.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but he's got this one-dimensional, definitive view of bacteria bad. Yeah. Bacteria bad.
Obviously, we've got bacteria in our gut that helps us digest it.
Yeah. It's all rhetoric. It's all emotion. But I will say, you would love that studio for castles, wouldn't you?
I kind of would.
Yeah.
I kind of would.
I thought so. Do you want to know how to get it?
Lie?
Lie.
Yeah.
Lie.
Okay.
And we've seen this solution applied generously throughout the 20th century. Stalin, Lenin, Mayo, Pol Pot, Hitler.
It's not my fault this time.
We're going to be stuck on this green sofa forever. Did he say Mayo?
He did say Mayo.
All of the worst enemies of humanity. Mayo, ketchup, spicy sauce. Spicy sauce was terrible. We can't forget what pepper did. Mayo? I'm so sorry if that's an American thing.
Just like my brain's now going, Adolf Ketchup. Joseph Peppercorn.
Oh, that's too good. He's already got the mayo, so that's done.
Pole Hot Pot.
Pole Hot Pot! They were all atheists. They all believed in evolution. That was the secret ingredient.
What he's driving at. So we'll let him make the point.
Fine.
All of these leaders embraced evolutionary ideas and applied.
Right, I'm just going to cut him immediately there.
Yeah.
Because that's a straight up lie. Hitler hated evolution. He wrote extensively about how he hated it. Stalin rejected it and went with the Lamarckian theory. And as a result, you had the massive famines.
Technically accepted it then, but went for a different theory from Darwin's.
Kind of, but but he's saying Darwinian theory here.
He's absolutely wrong. Yeah, my bad.
Same was with Mao. I think
Yep.
it was that sort of.
I mean, these communist leaders, they're driven by materialistic.
Also, Pol Pot, Mao, Stalin.
Yeah.
The people that they killed.
Yeah.
weren't because of Darwinian evolutionary theory, we're going to make ourselves better.
Yeah.
No, it was, I'm going to wipe out all competition to me.
Yeah, and this is what he's getting at, isn't it? Social Darwinism,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And the thing is that people, I hate to break it to you, are just pricks.
Yes.
And what happens is it's like, you know what? Let's go over to those countries and steal their resources. But I tell you what, if you're religious, you can go over there and go, I'm giving you the good news, give me all your crap. But if you're not religious, you can go over there and go, I'm better than you because of X, Y, and Z. You can
anything can justify sort of imperialist sort of views.
And the thing is, if you understand evolution by natural selection, it is telling you it's a branching tree, not a hierarchy. Consequently, there is no top. There is no you can't go up and go, that slug is higher up in the hierarchy than that crustacean. It doesn't work like that. That's not how it works. And you can't even go into the crabs and go, that crab's better than that crab. In what way? Some arbitrary, attribute that you've chosen, such as like how hard its shell is.
But there was no, survival of the fittest going on here. This was literally, people that oppose me, I will kill.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's one person who wields power that has nothing to do with their intelligence or their physique or anything. It's just they've happened to get into a position of power.
But, okay, so what is he doing? He's just going, so far he's got, if you believe in evolution, it will lead to bad things. That has nothing to do with its veracity and its bullshit.
Also, by the way, Social Darwinism was largely discredited like sometime after the First World War, let alone the Second.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not been a thing for a very, very long time, and yet he's speaking as if people today will lead to this mindset. And it's like, well, obviously not, because no one fucking subscribes to it.
You've made me land on an analogy that maybe, because I've always struggled to communicate this with people that seem to think that there's anything to it. So like maybe this one will get it across. You can say that Christianity is true and suppose that it is true, and yet there's some people that take that and they have an imperialist mindset. Mm-hmm. You can say the imperialist mindset's false, and it could be completely false, and it does nothing, no dent whatsoever to Christianity. The same is true of this. Social Darwinism is bullshit. But that's in no way entails that evolution's false.
No, and what he's doing, obviously, is the equivalent to me saying, believing in Christianity will lead you to becoming a member of the KKK.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Therefore, it's false.
Therefore, it's false. And it's like, well, that's obviously horseshit. You just don't... They wouldn't apply it that way.
No.
But
no way.
All of these leaders embraced evolutionary ideas and applied social Darwinism to their populations, culling millions of their own people whom they deemed inferior and expendable.
it wasn't that they were it was that they were inferior, but not for the reasons that you're sort of putting across here. It's homosexuals, minorities, obviously the Jews in Nazi Germany, were largely scapegoats. It was all like political things of what does our society hate, let's get rid of them. It's got nothing to do with whether they're actually bad for society.
Yeah.
Because clearly they weren't.
Yeah. I mean, like, and also, again, people are pricks. They just find a reason for it. So why is it that the early Christians hated Jews? You killed Jesus. Why is it that the communists hated Jews? You're the bourgeoisie. Like, it's just
Yeah.
It's the same crap. It's just blame it on a minority.
Pol Pot had people killed that wore glasses.
Yeah.
Why? Because he thought they were intelligent.
Yep. It's that simple.
And it's like, let's get rid of the intelligent people so that the population of idiots can't question me.
Yep.
That was the line of thinking. So again, it's got nothing to do with what's good for the society.
Yeah.
This was shitty people doing shitty things.
Yep.
Such a mindset has even slipped down into the consciousness of many of our children. Eric Harris, one of the perpetrators of the Columbine school massacre, said,
What the hell? He's bringing up shooters. He is going to get us demonetized as hell. I'm telling you this.
Again,
yeah.
Do you want me to bring up the sheer number of Christians?
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to do. That's not true Christianity. But this is true evolution. This is true evolution, Rick. Come on.
How many killers have put in their manifestos that they were doing it for religious reasons?
Yeah. Loads.
This is just horseshit.
Loads. Yeah.
Eric Harris, one of the perpetrators of the Columbine school massacre, said, sometime in April, me and V, that's Dylan Klebold, will get revenge and will kick natural selection up a few notches.
Okay, so he was an idiot.
He was an unhinged prick.
An unhinged prick. that didn't... none of what he said just makes sense. None of it makes sense. Yeah.
One guy referenced natural selection, therefore natural selection is bad.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
This ideology was reiterated by another high school shooter, Pekka Erik Avinen, in a YouTube video rant that he posted before his rampage. I am a cynical existentialist, anti-human humanist, anti-social social Darwinist, realistic idealist, and godlike atheist.
I'm still just going to say, I don't care what this fucking unhinged prick had to say. Again, do you just want me to draw quotes from fucking Christians that have done the same thing? This is frustrating as fuck.
Life is just a coincidence, result of a long process of evolution. Human life is not sacred.
Might not be sacred, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable.
No, it does to him. Remember? You're not going to live forever if, the entire universe doesn't revolve around you. If you are not made in God's image, it is all for naught.
Humans are just a species among other animals. Death is not a tragedy.
Yes, humans are just a species amongst the other animals, which is why we value a lot of other animals as well. We don't value them as much as we value, or most people don't value other animals as much as they value humans, because we all tend to be a little bit human supremacist.
Yep, speciesist.
Yep. Death is not a tragedy, not by itself. It's all about context, isn't it? Because death is ultimately, it's going to come for every living thing. What's tragic is normally when lives are cut short, when they're done through suffering.
Yeah.
It's all contextual to me.
Yeah, whereas just the view that death is a tragedy is to say that not living forever is a tragedy.
Whereas I don't want to live
No,
forever.
I don't want to live forever. Like, no way. Hell no.
Not all human lives are important or worth saving.
Yeah, okay, fine. He quotes this idiot. Like, what's your point? This is such polished herds. That's what we should have called the show.
Polished herds.
Social Darwinism, consistently applied, has been detrimental to society on many levels.
Which is why it's discredited and no one supports it.
Also, why can you go to like this kid who is incredibly ill and just like get one of his letters and go, that's why he did it? Like, do you not think it's a bit of a like what's this one-dimensional nonsense? It's unbelievable.
This is your fucking nutpicker's fallacy.
It really is.
This is, right, I'm going to pick the most extreme thing, and then I'm going to use that to discredit everything else. I'm going to find someone who killed people with social Darwinist theories, and therefore evolution is wrong. Now, that doesn't actually follow. Because even if this guy was killing people from social Darwinist perspective, that would not mean that evolution is wrong.
Yeah, it would.
Even arch-atheist and staunch evolutionist, Dr. Richard Dawkins,
Arch-Atheist. Oh my god. I want that title. I am an arch-atheist, general in Mayo's army. I'm not letting that go.
Even arch-atheist and staunch evolutionist, Dr. Richard Dawkins, has said as much, declaring, I'm a passionate Darwinian when it comes to science, when it comes to explaining the world, but I'm a passionate anti-Darwinian when it comes to morality and politics.
Someone's going to have to give us the context of that below, because I don't know what the context is.
I can. He is... someone's come up to Dawkins here, and he said, if you practice Darwinism, if you practice survival of the fittest, it can allow you to justify certain things because you can define fitness as X, Y, and Z, and it's been used by people for.
It's been used by people that
and
redefine
all
fitness,
he's doing there is he's like, I'm a passionate Darwinist in the sense that it explains the data. It doesn't mean I want to. Like, I think it's the right thing to do. There's many things that we believe is the case, but don't say that it's the right thing to do. Like germ theory of disease, right? If you want to explain how someone who's young is just dying. Okay, you can explain it via germs. There's nothing there that says,
it's morally
you know what,
right,
get that kid and put cholera down their throat. Like, that's not how it works.
Well, no, that's what they think is happening with vaccines, isn't it?
Yeah, that is how that's what they think.
They
think, you got that lovely guy in the comments going, you haven't looked up vaccines, have you? He's like, that's what he thinks they're doing.
You fucking clown.
Now, why would he say this? Well, obviously, as a highly educated individual, Dawkins is informed about and recognizes the negative effects of applying social Darwinism to a society.
Who doesn't? Who does? What bubble are these people in, dude? Like, some of you will be able to attest to this, right? Because me and Reese haven't went through this. When you're going through deconversion and like you were fed this kind of crap, goodness me, like just imagine like being taught that this is like,
How much you have to try and untangle.
oh my goodness, man, like that
Is
must be a
astounding
rough
to me.
ride. I really feel for you.
However, like many moral relativists, it seems Dawkins would like Christian morality piled on top of his materialistic cake.
Moral relativism. Most atheists are not moral relativists. They believe in objective moral.
Right. Here's the funny thing with objective morality is there needs to be a standard of which you can then objectively adhere to.
God said so.
Isn't much of a standard because it's
Here it is.
subjective from a person's point of view.
No. If he tells you to go over and rape people, it's fine.
This is the problem, is what do you mean when you have objective reality? Because I can set a standard and then I can objectively measure whether something fits that standard.
Well,
And that would be no different to God doing, setting a standard and then measuring whether you met that standard.
yeah, but the way that he sees it is that it's in the fabric of nature. It's wrong to murder. It's wrong to do X, Y, and
But
Z.
as we've said before, murder is a legal term.
Yeah, I know.
So
but
it
like,
has...
I know, but like from their point of view, most Christians today think that their church has preserved this perfect morality for
Yes.
2,000 years, and that that's why it's static, and without God, it's just opinion, and it's like, it's one of the weirdest things to witness. If you look up the theories in morality, there is so much there. Some of which is relative, some of which isn't relative, some of which is objective, some of which isn't objective, and yet they do no research, like zero.
Yeah.
Like none. They just completely misrepresent it from the beginning.
What I'm trying to get across is I can have an objective moral system if
Yeah.
I say the foundations of that moral system
Yeah.
are human well-being and happiness.
But what you're doing is you're issuing what they would say is a Kantian hypothetical imperative, whereas it's not a categorical imperative, whereas the religious person believes there are categorical imperatives.
So they're wrong.
Yes.
If God says so, or the Bible says so,
Yeah.
that's the same as me setting the human well-being and happiness. It's God's laws.
No, because like you just making up rules isn't the same as the thing that created the entire universe.
Making up rules.
Because you're in the system, you don't get to design the system in that way.
But
Whereas
this is the same subject sort of perception thing. It's the same holding to an objective standard thing. What you're actually just saying is power designated morality.
it is might makes right. It's divine
Yes.
command theory, yeah. And in that sense, you're absolutely correct.
That's all. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Might makes right.
But there is symmetry breakers, is basically what I'm getting at, where they would draw lines.
Sure. But this is where you can argue that, without God, you'll have the government is the one in power and they make right.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yep.
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Just become a Christian. It's easy.
But the question that must be asked is, can the biblical mandate to do unto others and love thy neighbor be logically applied if the story of evolution is true?
Mandates that existed before Christianity, obviously.
Yeah,
in other religions.
Love your neighbour is basically social being software.
Yeah.
Social species
No, but
software.
what I mean, it's been written down in other religions.
Yeah,
long
yeah,
before
absolutely,
Christianity.
absolutely. It's just
But-
what's convenient is neighbour. Neighbour's doing all the
Yes.
heavy lifting.
Yeah,
So
well-
what is your neighbour? Yeah.
As I said, with the reason the Jews were allowed to go out and
Yeah.
kill
Yeah.
everyone that surrounded them
Yeah.
was, well, I love my neighbour.
But they're not my neighbour. They're not my neighbour. Yeah.
and I love my enemy, I'm sending them to God.
Yeah, what a lovely thing, William Lane Craig. Isn't that the most beautiful thing you could ever do?
Can the biblical mandate to do unto others and love thy neighbor be logically applied if the story of evolution is true and God is just a myth? If certain people groups are more advanced than others and God's moral law need not apply?
Remember, in the Bible, the Jews are the chosen people. So, certain people are inferior.
Social Darwinism.
Oh no, it's
Oh,
been written into the Bible.
It's God's social Darwinism.
And it's social godism.
Divine Darwinism. Divine Darwinism from the beginning.
But what he's complaining about is baked into the Bible.
Yeah. It's amazing because it's like the Jews are being mistreated. Okay, so what we're gonna they're killing babies and it's terrible. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the Jews to come and get free, and then throw the Egyptian babies over the cliffs. It's like brilliant. Tribalism.
Under what logical premise can evolutionists argue for or against morality?
I just want to say, evolutionists, it just does all
so
the
really
work.
annoying, isn't it?
Does all the work. Okay, so what was his question? His question is,
How can evolutionists have a moral system, in essence?
so he's just going, I don't understand how it works. I haven't
Easy.
put any time to figure out how my one is anything other than divine command theory. Done.
It's really easy, mate. It's social species don't survive if they don't care for one another.
Yeah, that's one
it.
angle. Yep, that's it. Done. This is the one that I find resonates a bit more with theists. It is the dilemma, right? So the dilemma is, if God commands something, and the only reason that it's good is because he commands it, well, it's divine command theory, and so there's nothing to it, right? It's just straight up a command. There's not morality there. It's just, did you do what the dictator did? In this case, we need a condiment for God. Okay, we need like he's going to be the best of the best. So bear that in mind. Okay, so you've got God. If he just commands it, that's it, done. A lot of theists recognise that's not morality. That's might makes right. So what if the reason why something is good is because God commands it? Well, in which case, you actually do have the morality here. But notice that it's independent of God. It's something that's baked in, not by God. Because if God made
You
it
just said
up,
if God commands it. What you're actually meaning is,
If
does
God-
morality exist beyond God? Is what God commands good because it's good?
Euthyphro dilemma, right?
Yes.
There you go. So it's just like, if God commands it and that's it, well, it's not morality. But if God commands it because it is good, then obviously there's
You don't need
something
God.
that exists outside of it, yeah. So you can do that angle as well. But the social species one does it for me. The problem is that people just look at it and they go, I don't like that emotionally. It just doesn't tickle my intuitions. Yeah, your intuitions are meant to make you think. Evolution has wired you to make you think that your intuitions, which are completely at odds with someone who lives over the water.
Well, yeah. The funny thing is it does a lot
objective.
for me.
Yeah.
Because what you can actually say to that is, the reason I care about people is because that has been ingrained in me from millions of years of animals that were caring for each other.
Yeah, that's it.
The reason I exist is a result of millions of years of love and sex.
Pretty much.
If thou shalt not kill applies to humans, the question now becomes, how human?
Right, and just to stop there, no one that believes in the Bible believes in thou shalt not kill.
No, they don't.
Because
Ever. No.
you will have self-defense, you will have, well, let's just think of, again, every genocide that the Bible commands.
Yep. They're
So,
perfectly
thou shalt not
most
kill
people that want to bring back the death penalty
Are Christians.
are Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the West
So
sides.
what it is thou shalt not kill, unless it's for vengeance, defense, or because God said so.
Yeah, or so basically that
There's a lot of,
thou shalt not kill
well,
unless you have a reason. What the fucking use is that?
is that not relative to the situation?
Yes, it is. It's subjective and relative. Whereas if you go with thou shalt not murder, well, it's just a tautology.
Yeah.
It's like thou shalt not illegally do what is illegal.
Yes.
Brilliant. Well done. Oh, smart stuff.
And if we're simply evolved animals, how does morality apply at all?
It's just ignorance. It's just. But the thing is, his audience.
He's heard the answer to that hundreds
He
of times.
has. His audience basically they treat young Christians like mushrooms. They keep them in the dark and feed them shit. So they can't answer these questions and they have no idea of how to deal with it. Consequently, they essentially have the mindset of someone that's in the 17th century, which is fair enough. You can look at this and go, yeah, maybe you've got a point. Because that's the power of information. That's the power of having access to, the last 200 years.
You've got to seriously build up some walls against information coming in to continue repeating this shit time after time after time, after being argued against time after time after time.
This is what they do, though. I mean, this is why you get an escalation of these conservative parents going, I don't trust the woke schools.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring them out and teach them myself, which is like, great. You're going to severely fuck up your kid. Like, well done.
I've never heard anyone accuse a great white shark of being evil or a snake being a serial killer. Such terms apply only to humans.
Yes, because, again, humans apply a legal framework to themselves.
I'm not going to lie. I like cats. They're my favourite animal. They're evil. They play with their... They just. There's no need for it, but they do it. No, look. Of course, evil here is about accountability. If a kid comes up and accidentally or just brushes by some part of his super expensive setup and he breaks some of it, we don't really hold the kid responsible because there's not a conscious agent there. It's just operating on basic instinct, and that's about it.
Yeah.
At some point, as we age, we can conceive of things, we can run these simulations, and then you start becoming a responsible individual. This is why the law is different for if you're underage versus an adult. We're ascribing this thing, we're putting this thing in because of that. It's to do with once you have that quality. That quality, as far as we can see, isn't found across the animal kingdom. It's found in humans, and not even all humans. Some adults don't have it, and we recognise that.
Well, I'm just thinking, it's because you're right, there are some animals out there that I would probably call evil.
Yeah.
Like when fucking dolphins will batter about animals in the sea for fun and then fuck off and let it die.
Yep.
It's like, that's pretty shitty. Why don't we punish dolphins? And it's like, well, the answer's kind of obvious, isn't it? They've got no understanding of morality the way that we can talk about it. Yeah. We can't apply a legal system to dolphins because they couldn't understand what is going on when we fucking punish them for it. They wouldn't be able to learn.
It'd be like going up to a 2-year-old and going, if you do that again, this punishment's going to happen, this is going to happen. They're 2 years old. They're not going to conceive of all of this stuff.
It would be as stupid as punishing someone's grandchildren for their parents eating an apple.
Ooh, I think so. I think you're on the money there.
Unfortunately, belief in evolution has crept into the Christian church over the last century as well. And most Christian seminaries and Bible colleges today accept large parts of the evolutionary story, while some have outright declared themselves theistic evolutionists, i.e., God used evolution to create.
Okay, he knows it's a thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't
that discount what you said at the beginning, though?
It discounts nearly everything he's had to say, yes.
Yes.
But this is uncharted territory. They don't get this far.
A creationist that acknowledges that Christians can believe in evolution.
But he is going to now go no true Scotsman. That's my bet. He's going to no true Scotsman.
I think that's a good bet. I think that's a very good bet.
Such compromise has caused much damage to the gospel message, as atheists have highlighted the inconsistency of such an approach.
Which is what I have said last time. I said it is inconsistent.
The thing is, I think that's wrong.
The problem is it doesn't matter if it's inconsistent to your belief system. What matters is if it's true.
Yes, but okay, yeah, that's true. But it's not inconsistent. It's just you've got to do some serious work.
Yes.
But Christians have shown us again and again and again that they can do this. Mm-hmm. Despite the Bible explicitly endorsing slavery, they're confident that it doesn't. This is how that works. So they can do it. They can do the cafeteria Christianity on that. Why can't they do it on something else? Yeah, they can. They can.
An example comes from Frank Zindler in a debate against Christian William Lane Craig, who himself now accepts theistic evolution.
That's probably because he'd get laughed out of the room if he didn't.
Yeah, look, Bill...
He said some very strange things that makes me think that he doesn't actually understand evolution.
Yeah.
Because he's got this first human thing going on with Adam and Eve were the first humans born to apes.
Well, this is
And it's like, what do you mean?
this is where the inconsistency comes in that you're talking about, right? It is consistent for him to say that actually, if you reread Genesis, what you can take it to be saying is that this process of evolution happened, and then God looked at two hominids and went, Adam, Eve, and put in them a soul, an essence. The problem is that you're losing a scriptural battle,
Yes.
but you're winning a scientific battle. And the thing is that Christianity needs to adapt. Because unlike Islam that just goes, no, 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 Christianity adapts and then goes, you wouldn't have this if it wasn't for us. Like, that's how that works, okay? So he's upset, but really, Christianity would be in serious trouble if it stayed the way that he wanted it.
I think one of the things that has allowed Christianity to survive as long as it has is adaptability.
So he's slagging off evolution, and yet the reason that Christianity has survived
It's 'cause
is
it's
because
evolved.
it adapts to its environment.
Yeah.
The most devastating thing, though, that biology did to Christianity was the discovery of biological evolution. Now that we know that Adam and Eve never were real people, the central myth of Christianity is destroyed.
It's not the central myth of Christianity, though, is it? Because the central myth of Christianity is the resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah,
But
well, he would argue that the very reason for Jesus' sacrifice...
Which is what I said last time, is you lose out on original sin,
Yeah.
which he's about to cover.
And I do agree. I do agree that evolution is seriously a problem for Christianity. It's seriously a problem for, I think, any religion. But especially Abrahamic religions, because they have this mythos around original sin. But to be honest with you...
You only really actually have a problem with it if you hold to a all-loving creator, essentially.
I don't know.
I think it's the all-loving part that it does the damage to.
Isn't it just the
Or
inherited
one that is
sin?
the foundation for morality as well.
Hold up, isn't it just inherited sin? So if you've inherited sin,
Yes, but that only,
now how do you get that?
but that only exists in beliefs where you've got an all-loving and all-moral creator.
What, inherited sin?
Yeah,
No.
because if you haven't got an all-moral creator, sin isn't really a thing. Because sin is literally just against God. If you
No,
don't-
okay, you can have God. Suppose that you had God. God is powerful, but he's not all-powerful. And he's loving, but he's not all-loving. How is that not compatible with Adam and Eve and inherited sin?
It's more the moral thing. It's if God is not a perfectly moral being, original sin isn't really a thing.
You're going to have to spell that out. That doesn't make sense to me.
I think we might have to do it another time because it'll be way too long for this video.
Okay.
But fine.
You could put it this way. Original sin is just the idea that you've inherited sin from ancestors.
Yes, but sin is a violation of God's laws.
True, but God could create laws without being all-powerful and without being all-loving.
But the laws only really matter in the sense that they want it to matter if God is all loving and all moral.
No, not at all.
Oh, I think you're wrong on that one.
If there never was an Adam and Eve, there never was an original sin. If there never was an original sin, there's no need of salvation. If there's no need of salvation, there is no need of a savior.
Yeah, I largely agree with that sentence. If there's no original sin, there's no need for anyone to save you from it.
But having evolution doesn't make it so that you don't have original sin. Like, Bill is correct to say that you can actually make it consistent.
You can find a way to make it fit
Yeah.
by having those two. They're the ones with souls.
Yeah, but like,
Doesn't account for all
can do
the
that.
suffering and everything else in the world, though, does it?
no. But you can have something like what Richard Swinburne has, where he says animals that were dying, like with, you know, the extinction of the dinosaurs, they didn't feel pain. Pain's a new thing that emerged after sin, which came a lot later. So you can come up with consistent stories. You can have PhDs and be really respected, but you can still look at it and go, that's wild. Like this, but it's no more wild than what Christianity just teaches anyway. In fact, arguably, it's way less because it's actually accounting for data. It's actually, you know, making sense of things. But yeah.
If there's no need of salvation, there is no need of a savior. And I submit that puts Jesus, historical or otherwise, into the ranks of the unemployed.
I tend to put him into the ranks of the dead than the unemployed, but...
Believers can rightly deem Zindler's conclusions as blasphemous, but certainly not illogical from his atheistic vantage point. After all, if the first Adam never existed, why do we need a last Adam? Why did the Apostle Paul teach the concept of death in Adam, but life in Christ in Romans 5:12?
Just a slight one. Who is he looking at? Like, he's got this camera set up and he's just permanently looking to the side. What is that?
Teleprompter?
But look at me, I'm doing it right now. Yeah.
Why did the Apostle Paul teach the concept of death in Adam, but life in Christ in Romans 5:12? Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men, because all sinned. Can Christians rightly reconcile the loving God of the Bible as using billions of years of death and disease and struggle for survival?
Some do. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
Richard Swinburne says they don't suffer. The only way to get conscious agents is to do it this way, and so that's. I mean, this is way too big for me to swallow. But like, people do it. Do you want to know the real way that most of them do it? It's legit. Don't think about it. Don't think about it, and then you don't have to think. You don't have to process it. You don't have to think about the ramifications, the theological yeah, just don't think about it.
In an evolutionary scenario, culminating in a process where ape-like creatures eventually morphed into humans who are somehow...
Not ape-like. Apes.
Yeah, ape.
And we're still apes.
We're still ape, yeah.
They don't understand the
They don't.
categorization thing.
Sorry, this is such a weird video. He's like went for like social
it's all over the
Darwinism,
place,
and now he's coming down to like, look at the problems that it causes to our belief. So what he's done is he's went, here's a real big problem with evolution. One, it entails a view that it absolutely bloody doesn't. And then two, he's going, it's a problem for our worldview. Then change your fucking worldview.
Let's be honest, and let's simplify it as much as possible.
Go.
The Holocaust happened,
Yep.
therefore evolution can't. And if it did happen, it would be against God, therefore it really didn't happen either.
Pretty much. Yep, pretty much. Oh, the wonders. And then the shooters. You just wanted the video to not, like, you just have the worst stuff in it ever.
Look, I saw clips of this a long time ago. I forgot that there was all of that in there.
In an evolutionary scenario, culminating in a process where ape-like creatures eventually morphed into humans who are somehow created in the image of God? Wouldn't that mean that God had used all of the results of Adam's sin, death and suffering, as his creative method before Adam even existed, metaphorically or not?
And one way you could argue that is God is all wise. You could say that he's got, I forget what the perfect term is for it, or the specific term, middle knowledge.
Right.
I think it's Molinism. He could have middle knowledge, and what that means is that he knows what's going to happen before it happens, and therefore he can act in a way that's paradoxical to us free agents. Namely, he could know that he needs to let this destruction happen so that this choice can actually be a thing. I know. Mate, theism, when you're like getting at the brass tacks, when you're getting at the philosophical foundations, if you want to call it philosophy, it is wild, but they take it seriously.
Again,
like,
I'm sorry.
serious stuff to them.
I still don't understand how the just punishment from the all-loving creator is not only to punish the people that violated his rule, but to punish all their descendants and the animals from which they have no relation.
Yeah. So
And he carries that on because when he tells people to invade cities in the Bible, it's like, kill all the men, women, children, and the animals as well.
Yeah.
So what the fuck do the animals do here?
It's incredibly screwed up, right? You go up to any Christian, and you go up to their, like, say they've got a daughter or a son, and they're in their 20s, and they've just had a kid, and you go up to them and you go, oh my goodness, you've had a child? Mm-hmm. Oh my, can I hold? And then you hold, and then you give it a slap. And then they go, what the hell are you doing? You go, you were a pain in the butt 7 weeks ago, okay?
You ate an apple from my fridge.
You ate an apple from my fridge. I took an apple out of my fridge and I put it in your lunchbox and you ate it.
And I told you not
to. And I told you not to, so I'm punishing your kid. all of them look at it and go, whoa, inherited sin is pretty gross.
Yeah.
But God goes, oh, you're going to be, like, really destined for hell. Eternal
You're
torment.
predestined.
And the reason is because your great ancestor, they ate an apple. But get this,
Grandcestor.
Your grandcestor ate a granny apple, okay?
Sorry, that one got me.
I'll wait for composure. Okay, so your grandcestor ate a fruit, not knowing, having no knowledge of good and evil until they had eaten the fruit, ate the fruit, and now, you know, this punishment's just fine. And they go, God damn it, man.
A serpent told Eve to eat the fruit. Therefore, all serpents will have their legs removed. I don't get it. I don't get the punishments. They're just illogical.
It's just completely odd. I'm not happy with my creation the way that I created them. So I'm going to drown everything. Why? What are you doing?
That's like a mechanic finding that the spark plug in his engine's wrong.
Yeah.
So he takes the whole car to the crusher and buys a new one.
Wouldn't that violate the Holy Scriptures, let alone necessitate disregarding the first 11 chapters of the Bible, the seedbed of all Christian doctrines, or consider it as mythology? As the Darwin historian and Bible skeptic Peter Bowler rightly concluded, if Christians accepted that humanity was the product of evolution, even assuming the process could have been seen as the expression of the Creator's will, then the whole idea of original sin would have to be reinterpreted.
Which it does.
And this is brilliant, right? We actually mentioned this. Was it in our Tickle Me Tucker episode? Or was it... I love that comment. Was it in that episode, or was it in another episode? But we were speaking about just the damage that it's caused.
I said I think evolution has been incredibly
And this
damaging.
is basically, you know, you're hearing it
this
from
reason.
their mouth. They're like, and you can understand their motivations. They think it's damaging. They have to stop people believing it. That's why they go for social Darwinism. That's why all of this propaganda exists.
What I dislike about that is I deny your reality and substitute my own thing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's right. What I believed was wrong, so I'm not going to take in new information and adapt my beliefs. Instead, I'm just going to reject everything and put my fingers in my ears.
Because they start with their conclusion and work backwards.
It's not just that they start with a conclusion. They can't envision a world without that conclusion.
They refuse to, yeah. It's just like, no, this doesn't give me the conclusion I want, the result I want, the benefits I want, therefore it's wrong. This is why there's an appeal to emotion.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're playing a different game.
Far from falling from an original state of grace in the Garden of Eden, we have risen gradually from our animal origins. And if there was no sin from which we needed salvation, what was the purpose of Christ's agony on the cross? How can Christian laypeople not see how damaging it is to syncretize Christian theology with evolution, while atheists can understand and communicate it so succinctly?
Because they have to. Because they don't want to reject reality just because it doesn't give them comfortable feelings.
Which is precisely what you've done. You
You
don't
are-
endorse slavery.
No, he's just intellectually lazy.
Well,
Doesn't want to think of a way to reconcile these issues.
yeah,
So rather than trying, just ignores it.
but yeah, I mean, like, but again, he does this with slavery. He's somehow done it, and yet he doesn't understand how.
Does he? He could be pro-slavery.
To be honest with you, a lot of Catholics I've met, and I don't know what he is. I don't know what he
I
is.
have no
He's
idea, I don't
probably Protestant, but like I do know a lot of religious people are actually probably okay with slavery. So yeah.
And yet, professing Christian influencers such as Ian Barber, who is the winner of numerous accolades in science and faith, including the 1999 Templeton Award, have proposed adopting the same theological outlook as non-believers. You simply can't say any longer, as traditional Christians, that death was God's punishment for sin. Death was around long before human beings. Death is a necessary aspect of an evolutionary world. One generation has to die for new generations to come into being. In a way, it's more satisfying than to see it as a sort of arbitrary punishment that God imposed on our primeval paradise.
It is no true Scotsman. That's what all this has been. If you believe in evolution, you're not really, like Christianity can't really survive without this. Thus, your Christianity is at best a weaker version than mine, which has to be better because it can account for the.
The thing is, I like what this guy said here.
He's right.
It is more satisfying than to see it as a arbitrary punishment that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
It's more satisfying to believe that the cycle of life and death is just something that is innate to all creatures.
Yeah.
And that our efforts to extend our lives through medication and all these other things, they're not in vain, they're not starving off God's will. We are genuinely making lives better for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's way more satisfying.
Yeah, I think so as well. But
yeah. I'm happy to call it there if you're happy to call it there.
I think so. We've always touched upon this topic, but never really given it its full oomph. We nearly did it today, well, we largely have, but we also got a little slice of social Darwinism because that's always a thing. But like
someone
not
has
only
to
did we
mention
get
Hitler,
to
obviously,
not only did we get bloody Hitler, we also got mayo. We got like peppercorn and all the rest.
Joseph
so we got
Peppercorn.
really lucky, really. that's great stuff.
What's your favourite then? So
Mayo's
Mayo.
amazing. Yeah, mayo.
So General Mayo,
Yeah.
Adolf Ketchup, Joseph Peppercorn, and Pol Hot Pot.
If
Let
you
us know who your favourite condiment is below.
But one of you at least, you've got to give us one for God. He needs one.
We need one for God.
Yeah, we need one for God. We need one for God. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, bye!
Bye!